Hello, I'm a transportation planner living in Portland, and pinball is one of my main hobbies. So today I'm going to connect the two and talk about how transportation themes in pinball relate to transportation history in America. And these connections are purely conjectures that I made. They are not factual at all. It's just nonsense. So like a true planner, I organize this with sections for background, case studies, and assessment. This slide is looking at what pinball is. It is not ping pong. It's the one with the flippers and the silver ball. I reviewed like 3,000 pinball machines to look for transportation. And the scope of this study includes transportation as a primary theme, original themes, not like cars or movies, and transportation as a primary trip purpose. So first we have Stop and Go from 1938. It's our first case study. It's referencing early stoplights, which didn't have the yellow light. They were just stop and go, red and green. And around this time, the 1936 Federal Aid Highway Act established some early highway programs. Highways were new. In 1961, the highway boom was in full swing following the Federal Aid Highway Act of 1956, which launched the Highway Trust Fund and provided funding for the interstate system. So there was a lot of highway construction going on right then. But here we have a bus-themed pinball machine, way more exciting. And in 1964, the Urban Mass Transportation Act created the Federal Transit Program. So I'm assuming that's why they made this that year. Shortly after, we have a subway-themed pinball machine. There were two different versions of it shown here. People just loving taking the subway. The MTA featured here was chartered in 1965, and today is the largest transportation network in North America. This machine is featuring people just being pedestrians, enjoying their calm street. The only car shown is broken down, so that's kind of nice. It's just a calm neighborhood street. They're singing and doing their errands and enjoying life in Chicago. Now we're back to highways again. 10 years later, there's definitely a different tone here. There's fumes. People are like upset and they're like yelling at each other. There's a car broken down. It's kind of chaotic, like unpleasant to look at. So it was a different time. NEPA in 1969, the Clean Air Act. And then in 1975, here we have Black Gold, which is referring to petroleum. It's right when the OPEC oil embargo in 1973 was going on. So it really was like a precious resource. Times were tough. In 86, we have Road Kings, which is inspired by Mad Max, the series in the early 80s. There's Chicago is burning in the background, and there's this like biker gang. There's someone putting on a helmet, so we have a safety element there. Next, we have Truck Stop, following 1982 Surface Transportation Assistance Act, requiring weight limits for vehicles, which is a feature in this pinball machine for some reason, weighing your vehicle and loading up. And then by 87, the oil embargo ended. The speed limits were increased to 65. Earthshaker, in the early 90s, our road and bridge system, after the highway boom, was starting to age. We were really needing more replacements. We had a towering backlog of maintenance projects. Infrastructure was crumbling. Here in the early 90s, we're showing some road rage. There's a person upset about someone else parking in a specific parking spot. I know we've all experienced parking lot drama. This person's like firing increasingly absurd projectiles at the other vehicle. Then in 94, we finally get some construction. The whole pinball machine it was themed around a nationwide tour of road construction, and coincides with 91, the iced tea, which got more funding for alternative modes. So I like to think that they were tearing up the roads to put in bike lanes and pedestrian transit facilities. Junkyard is really showing the waste our society generates and trying to make something from that. The character here is trying to make a jalopy from all of the junk and like fight bad guys. And just skipping ahead 25 years, there's a lot of odd, interesting stuff in there. But here we have Godzilla tearing apart a train system, and then King Kong in the other one like smashes this train. It's kind of reminiscent of today where we are with transportation funding and just dire look. Here's some machines showing what the future could look like. So we have like a man that's part truck, part man. There's various like flying cars. There's like a space hyperloop. Very car-centric though. Doing a gaps analysis, we're really missing buses, bicycles are very limited. I'd like to see more of those. Generally very car-centric here in Pinball. And in conclusion, hopefully this was a fun look at the connections between transportation and pinball. Maybe you'll play the next pinball machine you see and consider how pinball maybe could help our transportation problems in the future. Who knows?